So when I left Christian fundamentalist churches that taught Christian religion, I noticed that these kind of churches villainize and teach that doing private activities to help you learn about your body, and if you are in the 99% of the population that aren't asexual, you are supposed to experiment. You're supposed to find out what you like, what you don't. As long as you're with people of your own age who consent and want to do it too, or just do it by yourself in a private area, there's nothing wrong with that. Something about Christians, they make it weird. Any kind of intimacy or self-expression, self-discovery, they make it weird. Has anyone else noticed that? There's just something about Christianity that makes sex either curiosity or trying to find what works for you. They just make it weird. And nowhere in the Bible does it say you cannot do self-discovery. Just do it privately. And as long as what you're doing doesn't make you a creep, it's consensual, or it's private, I don't care. I've read something somewhere that Christians are more worried about where people are sticking it in or what people are doing in the privacy of their home more than they care about the genocide that the Jews are doing against the Palestinians. That's some messed up priorities right there. And it's always been this way. I took medieval history classes to learn about how society has changed when it comes to intimacy and libido and, everything in between. And I don't know, there's just something about between the Catholic Church and the Protestant Christian denominations. They've always been obsessed with what people do in the privacy of their own bedrooms. And if you haven't noticed that, being in churches, do a simple world history course in how the Christian church, Protestant, Catholic, whatever you want to do, how have they changed their views on sex? At the end of the day, they really haven't changed much. They really haven't. And that kind of surprised me. It really did surprise me. And it's all about control and shame. People will give more money, they will give more of their time, their resources, their influence, the more they're shamed and forced to repeat a cycle that doesn't exist, that churches create. There's a multi-billion-dollar industry convincing men they have an addiction to adult material. The Board of Medicine does not even acknowledge adult entertainment addiction. It does not exist. The Board of Medicine does not recognize any addictions having to do with watching, reading, or being involved in adult entertainment. Because it's BS. As long as what you're looking at is legal and everyone consented to be a part of it, there's nothing wrong with it. Can it affect your job and your relationships? Only if you get weird about it. Only if people get weird about it. And when people say, well, you can get addicted to it, my response is, I get addicted to certain kinds of food. Should I stop eating? Of course not. That will kill you. You starve to death. But for some reason, people think think that if something even has a hint that you could be addicted, you should not ever go near it. And that's just lunacy. Everything can become an addiction or an unhealthy life behavior. But it doesn't mean you avoid it because it could have the potential. If that were true, I would never be on a computer, on my phone. I wouldn't brush my hair. And that's what it's all about. It's always about control. Like, what is it about Christians that have to monetize and dictate? You can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, the Catholic Church back in the Middle Ages would tell people which days of the month and of the week you could be intimate. I think there were less than 5 days a month that you could call yourself a good Catholic and not be intimate with your spouse. It's all about control and male privilege and political and religious control and advantage. And I'm just tired of all this stupid. Nobody needs to have that many rules about how two consenting adults live. And it's okay if you don't understand why people do certain things. If you grew up in a heterosexual culture and you don't understand how gay people live, that's okay. We can always change that. You can always learn. You can always get past your homophobia. I've gotten past 80% of it. Just choosing to be around a lot of these people, these wonderful, warm people, I've gotten over 80% of my internalized homophobia. And if we normalized things that Christians demonize, that are legal and wonderful things that our society actually has in it, that for some reason Christians just can't get over the basics of biology. 99% of people out there want intimacy, either physical or emotional intimacy. And even the 1% who call themselves aromantic or asexual, not every single one of them don't want a relationship or don't want intimacy whatsoever. There are different types of asexuals and aromantics. But something about Christianity, if you're not having intimacy when you're married because you want kids, you're doing it wrong. And this is so ludicrous and stupid. I don't know of very many animals that are married when they have puppies and kittens and things like that. I have heard of some animals being married, but that's a human thing. Humans do that. I'm not saying animals can't, but it's mainly a human thing between whomever wants to consent and do it. But I wish I could have grown up in an environment that taught me that you don't have to be in love, you don't have to be married, you don't even have to like the other person to have sex. It's okay if you do, and that's why you have sex. But according to the animal kingdom, most animals have sex to procreate. Okay? To procreate. That's just how the world works. And how much time could I have saved knowing that desiring intimacy is not something everyone wants? And it doesn't just look one way. There are many different ways people choose to learn about themselves and are interested in just gaining information without having anything attached to it, like a relationship. But there's just something about Christianity that loves to villainize people understanding their bodies and having autonomy over how they don't use their bodies. I mean, when I think about intimacy, the only things I think about are they 18? Are they consenting? And are they safe? Either physically or, wearing prophylaxis. Other than that, it's none of my business. As long as they're safe in every way possible, they consent, and they want to be there, and that other person wants to be there too. Like, who honestly cares? If you want to learn about your own body in the safety of your own home, alone or with a partner, that's okay. Just make sure your partner fits the legal ramifications of consent. That's all. And no, in no Christian church was I ever taught about consent. I'm not kidding. Never, ever, ever. Not even in my own home. And my parents were Christian teachers and leaders in church. Nobody ever taught me about consent and autonomy. The only thing they ever taught me about intimacy and being heterosexual was you have to be married. That's it. Nobody ever talked about consent. It didn't exist. And the way Christians talk about intimacy makes me not want to do it. Okay? You have to be married. You have to love somebody. You have to meet all these criteria. You have to be pure, perfect. You can't do this. You can't do that. I mean, it sounds like I'm baking a cake. or putting together a puzzle. It does not sound fun to me. I mean, my way is better. Follow the law. Find someone who enthusiastically consents. Be safe. Be a safe partner. And wear certain things to protect everyone's health. And that's all there is to it. Anything more than that is creepy. And let's be honest here. You can't believe in the stuff Christians do and rationalize it as normal. Because biology says otherwise. Biology, the animal kingdom, tells us right off the front. Everybody sees intimacy and their own orientation differently. Not all animals are attracted to females or females attracted to males. Some want to be by themselves. Some never reproduce. Some are the life of the party. I think one of the biggest mistakes our society makes is that everyone's interested in intimacy. You're either not wanting commitment or you want all of commitment. That people have to be monogamous. And that intimacy has to look like this, with these components, with these kind of people. And that's not how the world works. How can it? Sex and intimacy is so simple. Find an enthusiastic legal partner. And when you're alone, do decent things. Religion is terrible at making everyone uncomfortable and making sex and intimacy weird. It shouldn't be that way. I would rather a young person do it in my home as their parent than do it somewhere where they're not safe, protected, and they don't treat everyone with respect.